I do the intermittent fasting, so I don't eat until 12.
Oh, you are going to live to be 100.
Yeah, I'm trying. I don't eat from about 8 o'clock at night normally until 12 noon the next day.
You must have classes in the morning sometimes, do you?
I do. So yeah, I don't eat until 12:15, 12:30. I teach until 12:15 every other day, so it's a little longer.
If that was me, I would be eating the books in class or something. I would be.
You get used
I'd
to
be chewing on the desk by 10 o'clock.
You get used to it. I have lots of snack food, so I'll do a lot of snacking, I guess.
But so you're not allowed to eat until 12 o'clock apart from snack foods?
No eating at all. But
no eating at all. Okay, right.
Like I'll either have a larger lunch, or I'll have a lunch, and then a little bit later I might take a little bit more, and then sort of a smaller dinner.
So what you're telling me is you eat continuously for 8 hours,
almost
from 12 until 8.
Yeah. Yep. But that's it. Give 16 hours to digest. A lot of it's about just digesting thoroughly, and the fasting. Fasting is actually good for. It really questions the whole idea of, do we need to always eat, and will hunger pass? Is hunger occasionally a good thing? So
something tells me this research was not sponsored by McDonald's, was it?
Oh God, no. Supersize me, undersize me. That would be
We'll do a popcorn counter. And I'm trying to remember to do things that I always forget to just introduce ourselves.
Oh yeah.
Okay, fine. Okay, good. Right, tell me when you're ready.
I am ready. Yeah.
So, hello, welcome to the Popcorn Counter at the Two Real Cinema Club. I'm James Ruzicka.
And I'm Andres Lorente.
And we're sitting here, perched on our two stools, playing a slightly different version of my favourite game. Oh. We're not going to play Who Am I? We're going to play Who Is He?
Ooh.
So many people queuing up here.
Yeah.
So we've just got out of American Fiction now. I can see all these people queuing up. My game is I like to guess what people do. Because can you see there's a guy over there who has got like paint on his jacket, and paint on his shoes. And he's carrying like a little bag with obviously got tools in it, something like that. What do you think that guy does?
I think he's an accountant, right? He's like a money dude.
Yeah, it's got it written all over him. Absolutely. Maybe he's the person who paints the dollar bills.
Oh.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. I'm sure he probably is an accountant. They're thinking about how there's. In my job, I meet people who do like lots of different jobs. It's just like my standard little spiel.
Yeah.
When someone's going off to sleep for their operation, and people are always nervous and they're a bit anxious, and I ask everybody the same question. I say, what would you normally be doing on a Thursday?
Huh.
If you weren't here being sliced open, and so I get illness is a real leveler. I meet people from all walks of life. Everybody gets ill, and so I meet kind of people who do all sorts of different jobs. So I meet people who are cabin crew. I meet a lot of people who work in education. I meet people who work in the caring professions.
Yeah.
I meet people who do HR, and people who run a dating website, or people who are a plumber, or all sorts of different things. But I very, very rarely meet someone who tells me, I'm a writer. And yet, somehow, as soon as we walk into the cinema, I feel like there's a good sort of 8 out of 10, or 1 in 8 films.
Yeah.
It's going to be about somebody who is a writer. I feel like writers are way, way overrepresented. In cinema. There's just so many films about writers compared to the number of people who actually are writers. In the same way, there are so many films about directors, even though there are not many film directors in the real world.
That's right.
Even if you watch a film, like at the end of the film, there will be thousands of people in the credits, but only 1 or 2 of them will be the director or the writer. But you rarely see a film which is about a continuity supervisor, or a boom operator, or a set decorator, or there are far more people who do those jobs than there are writers, and yet those people never get to be protagonists in films. Why are there always films about writers? That's what I'm asking.
That's totally rhetorical. We've talked about this, haven't we? I think not so long ago. I find a lot of the writers are boring. I think they don't make robust characters necessarily. So it's funny that so many films are around this automatic idea that a writer is going to be an interesting life. I think probably because writers create fiction, I guess, so they can sort of create life. They're life-giving forces. So maybe that's the shtick there. But point is, boy, if you film a writer's life, it's pretty boring. I live a pretty boring life, and I'm only a part-time writer, so I'm a full-time writer. Oof. It's that guy in Starbucks in the coffee shops just getting free Wi-Fi. That's the writer right there.
That is not dramatic, is it?
No, occupying
I have
space.
a personal theory about this, which is that although most, if you ask people, to stop 100 people in the street and say, do you know any professional writers? Most people do not. But stop 100 people in the street and ask them, can you name a writer? Most people could probably name a writer. I think even if you don't know a writer, if you haven't met a writer, most people have read the mind of a writer. Most people have been inside the brain of a writer.
Yeah.
They have writers' names on their shelves or on their bedside table. So I wonder whether that is why writers commonly appear on screen, because we think that we know writers.
Yeah.
In a way, we know writers very intimately. I feel like there are some writers whose inner workings I know more intimately than many of my friends, because they've spelled out what they think about lots of things.
Yeah.
Explicitly in black and white. So maybe we believe that we know writers without actually really knowing them. They are kind of people who've been inside our head without us ever seeing their face.
It's a different level of ubiquitousness, perhaps. Like, mechanics are everywhere, but you don't necessarily see them, whereas writers are everywhere, and you see books on shelves, or you see portrayals of them in film, so they sort of just become everywhere.
So I've made a list of some of the writers in films that are kind of more notable, because sometimes you get it right, sometimes you get it wrong. There are films where the characters are writers and it makes no difference to what actually happens in a film. It's just that nobody could think of a better job for them to do.
Yeah.
And the good thing about writers is they don't keep to a schedule. So if you need to go off and do some dramatic business for a film, well, you can, because you don't have to report to the boss or hand in that report. So it kind of lends itself to being a character in a film to that extent, I suppose. But these kind of very inward-looking, typey people otherwise shouldn't be good characters for films.
What's it made me think of, like all these Woody Allen films? He's either a writer or someone else is always a writer. It becomes too much. It's kind of gets overdone as a result. Because I think there are definitely some directors, some filmmakers who always have some writer in there, almost like a Greek chorus or something like that, trying making commentary or something like along those lines.
I mean, the one I think that gets it right is The Shining.
Oh, yeah.
Because Jack Nicholson, he's kind of not a writer. So it's not actually about a writer. It's about somebody who wants to be a writer. Yeah. And I think that is everybody, isn't it? Almost everybody I know would quite like to be a writer. Sounds quite good. I'd like to do that if only I had enough time, but I've got to do the washing up. So, that's a brilliant idea for a character, because that's somebody that everyone in the audience can empathise with.
Yeah.
But people who are actual successful writers typing every day, not quite so good.
Even harder, because he was doing it in the day of typewriters. That's just before you had word processors and programs on computers.
There is a great story about how they came up with all those sheets in The Shining, because I think this was the very beginning of electric typewriters. And I think it was Kubrick's daughter had an electric typewriter, and for the first time it was possible to copy and paste text. And so they got very excited by this, and then suddenly it was possible for them to type out many, many pages of exactly the same phrase without too much actual effort, which is why it made it onto the screen. It's a great little moment that when she finds all those pages of exactly the same phrase written on page after page after page. But this is facilitated by the very earliest electric typewriter.
And one of my favorite portrayals is Nick Cage in Adaptation, right? Which is the Charlie Kaufman sort of writing himself into the adaptation of a book that he's supposed to adapt for the screen, but it's so writerly because it's a story of a writer making the film about himself, but at the same time taking lessons with who wrote? Is that Bob McKee? Who wrote? Story.
It is Bob McKee, isn't it? Yeah.
Story. He goes to see lectures with him, and then he's got a twin brother who actually becomes more of a writer than he is. For me, I think that might be the best writer story period.
I'm going to get. Hold on for a second, because I'm going to grab Kiki because she's roughing like mad at something, presumably a fox in the garden. Hold on for 5 seconds. Kiki,
that's exciting. We have a cat named Coco, and James has a dog named Kiki. But the cats just meow. They don't bark like Kiki. And we don't have foxes. We have raccoons, squirrels, chipmunks. We've had a small snake. We have a feral cat right now. Some birds. But no foxes. We had a whole raccoon family. 6 raccoons living back there one time. That we had come through there. Cats, obviously.
Come on, we can't have roughing all the time. I am recording.
Is Kiki okay? Was it a fox?
She was roughing out the front door, which either means that somebody with a dog has walked past and she's extremely excited to see another dog on her territory.
Yeah.
Occasionally it means someone has left a parcel at the front of the house, but there's no parcels.
Oh.
So sometimes her roughing like this quite exciting. You think, oh, my Amazon delivery has arrived, but not today. Or the other thing is she's just terribly bored. You're still roughing now, aren't you? Okay, she's looking at me now as if to say, what's wrong with roughing? Kiki. No, she's darting off again now. She'll start roughing any second now.
How'd she get into the theater in the first place? I don't think dogs are invited to the popcorn counter.
She could well be a seeing eye dog.
Oh, good.
I think the best trained dogs can probably give an ongoing audio commentary to patrons who have sight impairment.
What did the actor say? Ruff, ruff,
ruff. What? There was when we were in Paris, there were posters for a new film called Chien et Chat, I think, which I'm presuming is dog and cat.
Yes, it is.
With 2 of the most unconvincing CGI animals I've ever seen on a poster.
Were they writers? Maybe it was a writing dog and a writing cat.
I always like to imagine that France is the home to sophisticated cinematic culture, but no, the film they were promoting was Chien et Chat. So I'm gonna have to go and grab her again. I might bring her in and shut the door. Hold on for a second.
Okay.
Pop.
Chien et Chat. Thank you in Chinese is xia xia. But that's not Chien et Chat.
Right, I'm back. Okay, that time. It was my son at the door. So to think we spent all that money on an expensive Amazon doorbell with a little camera and a Wi-Fi connection. Actually, all we needed was the dog. So maybe she was roughing because she could hear Edward far up the street coming back home.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Maybe that's it.
That's kind of sweet. Yeah,
it's kind of sweet. Either that or she's roughing to warn me. Look busy. Someone's coming. Look like you've achieved something this afternoon. So this is something someone once told me, that dog films never lose money. Have you heard this?
Oh, I love that.
Films that star dogs or films that revolve around dogs, they are the only 100% sure bet for turning a profit in all of cinema. There's no dog film has ever lost money.
I am rewriting all my scripts to make a dog, sometimes a talking dog, a major character.
I don't know whether this also means that no dog film has ever made a huge amount of money.
Oh.
But apparently they've never lost money. But part of that may be because you don't need to pay the dog. So it could be that you're saving money
on acting. Yeah, you'd have to pay a dog trainer, or in this day and age, maybe whoever created the dog.
Yeah, you'd have to CGI the dog, wouldn't you?
But they're less than Tom Cruise, that's for sure.
But in which case, I don't know how easy it would be to try and try and insinuate a dog into everybody else's project. If you could persuade a producer that every time you're asked to write a script, there should be a dog in it, no matter what. Space film, Adam Sandler, there needs to be a dog in that.
They'd get onto you. They'd say, why does that guy always have dogs in his films?
Well, films always make money. I was going to argue with that. You know what? I'm going to look that up now because I feel like that is such a contentious Here we go. Let's see if I can find. Do dog films make? Do dog films make you cry?
Oh.
Do dog films make sense? Do dog films make money? Now, here we go. This is what Google is saying. When a dog acts in a movie, does the dog get paid?
Oh.
No, that's not what I'm asking for.
Mm-hmm.
4 canine actors that made more money than humans, the highest paid animal actors.
Wow.
Here's how to get paid to binge watch movies about dogs. Well, I already regret bringing this up or looking for this on on Google, because none of these answer the question I wanted answered. Of all the films about writers, be they writers that write about dogs or not, my favourite one that I included on my list, I think, is either Mishima, which is the Paul Schrader film. And I think I've only seen that film once.
Yeah.
And I think I saw it very late at night. And the film, in my mind, maybe could possibly have been a dream, and it seems very hallucinatory. But I did borrow the soundtrack, which is by Philip Glass, from the local library, and played that obsessively for a long time.
Oh, wow.
So I clearly remember the soundtrack better than the film, and the soundtrack is probably a good soundtrack to write to.
Oh.
Thereby bringing the whole process full circle.
Yeah. I haven't seen Mishima.
Or alternatively, The Lives of Others, which we've talked about before, which is a film about pre-fall of the Berlin Wall, East Germany, where the secret police are spying on a writer. And again, it's a writer who has a much more exciting life than most writers.
Yeah.
But at least for both of those films, the meat of the story is about interesting things that happen to or near writers, rather than writers doing writing.
Which is, as we've said, inherently uncinematic. Because you're really looking for the character more than the occupation of the character. I mean, occupations definitely are a bit of characterization, but it doesn't necessarily make for a great story just focusing on someone's occupation. I like Sideways. That's a good thing here on the list.
Yep.
It's Paul Giamatti who does it really well. And I obviously, if we were to do Who Am I, any day of the week I could say I'm Paul Giamatti in Sideways. Teacher. He's got to read other people's writing. He's got to read teenage writing, which I do a lot of myself. And he's got this big book that he's lugging around. And then eventually sort of lets go of it. So I love that. That seems to me like a very realistic portrayal of even a struggling writer. I mean, he is a writer, but he's not. Doesn't seem like he's published. And then the other one you have here on the list is Wonder Boys, which I thought I really liked. Michael Douglas there. That seemed very real to me, sort of a teacher, professor type, and then trying to get having this book that everyone wants him to finish or whatnot, and then his career starts to weigh him down, and he's lugging that thing around quite a bit, and then doesn't it get all blown apart in a parking lot at some point? It doesn't really matter. I just thought that was great too. So it's really the complications that you can put into a writer's life that are going to make it a better film about a writer than just being about the writing itself. But I think those two are the ones on the list that most resonate with me.
I think maybe just about the best film about writers writing, it might be American Fiction. It is at least about writing and the results of writing, and we do have, I think, maybe the best representation in cinema of a scene of somebody actually doing the typing.
They
have really tried to address that, haven't they? They have kind of thought about sitting at a desk with a laptop, and typing and trying to put words into the mouth of a character.
Yeah.
It's not an easy thing to represent, and that's probably about as well done as it could be. Yeah.
So I like the fact that it's also about a good writer intentionally writing badly, which I think is a nice touch. And a writer should be able to create worlds that they're not familiar with, or maybe even worlds that they don't want to write about. A lot of writers for hire are just, picking out projects from other ideas or producers. And I think, that's a great portrayal of doing something that you don't want to do. And again, that's in terms from a storytelling perspective, that's more interesting than someone just having a happy life where they write whatever they want. It's peaceful. It's lovely. They've got a nice space to write in. That's boring. But Monk finding himself back in one of his childhood homes, kind of, he looks a little awkward in that space. It doesn't look like a classic writer space. It's a dining room table or something, or his father's office. I don't remember exactly, but and writing something he doesn't want to write, really, and having fun with it. That's I think that's a more accurate portrayal of a writer, and it's sort of more inspiring as a result.
I read a great article about writers not wanting to write something and doing it for the money the other week, which was there is a burgeoning industry now, all based around rewriting students' essays and personal statements, which have been originally generated by AI.
Yeah.
So the idea is that now kind of any student applying to any college, well, they can write a great personal statement which is extremely articulate and well phrased and full of all the right bullet points, because ChatGPT will just generate it for them.
Yeah.
But now it's so obvious when they've been generated by ChatGPT that real college professors are charging money on Fiverr to then rewrite your ChatGPT generated text so that it sounds a little bit more like it's written by a human again. So the whole thing again is coming full circle. This is twice in one podcast. The whole thing's come full circle. If people give you ChatGPT stuff at school, can you tell?
Yeah. Because my students are mostly learning English. So it's very obvious. And I write that, if I type that in, if they submitted it electronically, or I write on the paper, this is not you. Yeah. But I mean, teachers use it a little bit too. I write a handful of college recommendations every year. But for those teachers who are writing 40 or 50 college recommendations, you can put it into ChatGPT and it'll give you something. I tried it and I thought it was just horrendous. And it's like the exact opposite of what a recommendation is for. It's supposed to make the person more human and, fill out the portrait that you have of the character. Whereas, ChatGPT is it's just one sort of synthetic recommendation piece after another. It's just nothing. There's nothing original. It's just platitude after platitude. So it seems, that seems very disingenuous to me. I don't know if I'll ever, if I had to do a lot more of them, I would probably break down and start using it, but I hope I never do, because that seems like the worst setting to use it.
I think someone clever could take your students' essays and just worsen them up, isn't it? You need kind of crap GPT, which will automatically turn your submissions into something far less competent and convincing, thereby making them seem real. Yeah,
that's who I want for a sponsor, crap GPT.
I can feel a spoof ad coming on. Right, okay. I've had quite enough of popcorn now. I reckon I've been looking at this guy. Can you see the guy over here who wears like a paper hat and an overall? And an apron with stripes on the front.
Yes.
And he's kind of standing right behind the popcorn counter.
Yeah.
I reckon that guy is a popcorn distributor.
Oh.